Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. We're going to do something completely different today. I've always wanted to do a cooking show. And today we're going to make Dungeon Dive chili. So this is a really easy red chili recipe that is perfect for game days. And just it makes a big batch that you can share with friends and family. And it's perfect for taking those lunch breaks and breaks when you're playing a bunch of games. So this is not an authentic Texas red Roadhouse chili. I have no time in my life for authentic food and people who complain about something being authentic, especially chili people. Chili people are the absolute worst people on the planet because everybody complains about something. If you call something chili, then it has to be only meat and chili or some garbage like that. The only thing that matters when you cook food is that it tastes good. Okay, that's it. So, this is a red chili recipe that I've been making for a while and I really like it. I'm just going to go through the ingredients real quick. We have one finely chopped yellow onion, a couple stalks of celery finely chopped, and 3 cloves of garlic minced or finely chopped. That will be our aromatics. And then we have a green bell pepper. I love green bell pepper in red chili. We have 1 pound of ground beef. Sometimes I will use sausage as well. And then we also have here my jerk chili, dry chili rub. So this is kind of like a infinity bowl that I keep adding stuff to. It's got a variety of different kinds of dried red chilies. It has Mexican oregano, cumin, smoked paprika, garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, and some cocoa powder. Now the chilies I use for this are pretty mild. I like to control the spice after the chili is made because if you're sharing it with people, you never really know how burn your face off they like the chili. And my wife and I actually like it not quite as spicy, but if I do, I usually will just add like some red pepper flakes to my personal bowl after I make it. So that's the chili powder there. We've got some canned ingredients. We've got a 1 can of petite diced tomatoes. We've got a small can of tomato sauce. We are going to use, I think, like a teaspoon or so of tomato paste. We have 1 can of red kidney beans. We have a can of chipotle peppers and the adobo sauce, and I use about 2 of those for a pot of chili. And then we have 2 cans of beef broth there. And all of that is going to be cooked over here in this Dutch oven on the stove. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, of course, is heat up your Dutch oven or whatever you're going to use to cook the chili in. And you're going to want to add a splash of olive oil, probably 2 tablespoons or so. And let that heat up. As soon as it kind of starts shimmering, we are going to add our aromatics. I always like to drink a nice bourbon or rye while I'm making chili. So today I'm going to be enjoying Whistle Pig. This is the 10-year rye. One ingredient I did forget to mention is about a tablespoon or so or a teaspoon so of salt, and about a teaspoon and a half of sugar, granulated white sugar. Okay, so once your oil is hot, you're going to want to add your aromatics there. That is the celery, the onion, and the garlic. And you're going to want to cook those for about between like 5 and 8 minutes until they kind of start browning, sweating the onion and the garlic, and just getting a nice good aromatic base there. Okay, so once your aromatics have cooked for about 5 to 7 minutes or so, starting to soften up a little bit, you want to push those to the side there. And then you want to add your pound of ground beef or sausage, or maybe half and half of both. And break that up a bit. Let that get all nice and brown. And you really want to break it up as it is cooking. And then to that, we are also going to add our green bell pepper. So cook all of this until your meat is fully browned, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, once your meat is almost brown, then I like to add 2 or 3 chopped up chipotles in the adobo sauce there. And then give those a nice mix. Let that cook for a few minutes. Okay, then you want to add your dry rub, your dry spices. So there is my salt and sugar there. And then you want to do about 3 tablespoons of your jerk chili rub. So there's 1, 2, and 3. If you want this to be a little spicier, you know, you can always add some cayenne or something like that. Okay, then you want to give that a good mix and just cook that for a couple of minutes. Adding those chipotle peppers with the adobo sauce, man, that is really kind of a secret ingredient that I don't see a lot of red chili recipes have, and it's super easy. They're super cheap to buy at any grocery store, and it just adds a great smoky flavor to it. Okay, next up we are going to add our can of diced tomatoes with the juices. Our can of red beans rinsed without the juices. Our can of tomato sauce. 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Really make sure that this is all mixed in there. And then finally, a can and a half of beef broth. And just give that a good stir and just make sure everything is well mixed. So what you want to do next is you want to bring this up to a boil. Let it boil for just a couple minutes, and then you want to bring it down to a low simmer. Now, one thing I noticed that a lot of recipes for like quick, easy chili, they don't tell you to cook it long enough. And I really think cooking it for a really long time on a really low simmer is really the key to getting a good flavor. It's especially nice if you can cook it the day before you eat it and then reheat it on the stove the following day. That's really when it's the best. So we're going to bring this up to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer. So while it's getting ready to boil, I did add a little bit more sugar, and I am going to add a little bit more of the unsweetened cocoa powder to it. About another teaspoon there. And then we just want to give that a stir that in. So that sugar and the cocoa really kind of counterbalance the flavors of the canned tomatoes and canned tomato sauce. And that's another reason why I like to cook it for such a long time on a simmer, is because kind of like the longer you let canned tomatoes and canned tomato sauce simmer, just like the better flavor it has. There's like I've heard there's some kind of like magical moment. I've heard from like other YouTube cookers that there's like a break point where canned tomatoes and canned tomato sauce, as long as if you cook it long enough with enough stuff and just let it sit there and simmer and mix all the flavors together, that it eventually becomes much better. If you don't cook it long enough, it just tastes like canned tomatoes and canned tomato sauce. So once this has been boiling for just a few minutes, a nice rolling boil, you're going to want to cook, turn that down to low and put your cover on there and just let that simmer. And I'm going to probably let that simmer for 2.5 or 3 hours. And everything's going to be nice and incorporated, really mixed together, really cooked. It's going to cook off some of that acidic canned tomato flavor, and it's going to be delicious. And of course, you can taste it periodically while you are simmering it. if you need to add any more spices or maybe a little bit more heat, a little bit more salt or sugar or that kind of stuff. Okay, so it's been about 3 hours, about 2.5 hours, and our chili has been simmering and it is done. Time to eat. And in the meantime, we have prepared in the oven some crispy frozen French fries with Cajun seasoning. And then we have, if you want a little bit of spice, I like to add spice after, like I said. We have some green Tabasco, some Tapatio, and some red pepper flakes there. We have some freshly chopped cilantro and some onions. And then I did switch whiskeys. I switched over to the Balcones single malt Texas whiskey, which is probably my favorite whiskey in the world. I'm finished that bottle off. I've had way too much whiskey this afternoon. Also, guys, if you have not had chili on Fritos since like maybe you were a little kid at your dad's softball game or something, it is definitely worth rediscovering the beauty of Fritos and chili. But yeah, we're just going to plate some up real quick to finish off the episode. So I'm just going to grab some French fries. I like to put the fries on the side so they don't get too soggy. We're going to grab up a couple spoonfuls of chili here. So the chili is probably a little more watery than some people's chili. But I actually like that because as it sits for a few days in the refrigerator, it's going to thicken up. A really good way to thicken up chili if you want it a little thicker is to make a slurry out of masa. Take a couple teaspoons of masa, which is just a Mexican flour, and mix that with a little bit of water and make a thick paste, and then add that to your chili. It adds an amazing flavor. If you've never had masa in red chili, I highly recommend it. It's a really unique flavor. It'll be kind of a secret ingredient. And so this chili here, it's not like award-winning or anything. It's a very simple chili. It does have a few little special ingredients though. You've got those chipotle peppers and the cocoa powder. There also is in my chili rub, I always add a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg. And so that's also kind of a good secret recipe there. And then just to add my own flavor, my own spice level, I will add a little bit of red chili pepper flakes on there. And then I also really like green Tabasco sauce. Green Tabasco sauce is my favorite of the Tabasco sauces. And yeah, that's it. So that is the Dungeon Dive chili recipe. And it is very good. It's very simple. It's fun to make. And it's perfect for those game days. So make up a batch with your friends and play a game of Shadows of Brimstone or something and enjoy some chili and dungeon diving. So all right guys, well I hope you enjoyed this weird episode this weird episode of the Dungeon Dive, and we will talk to you later. Bye bye.